was not there. It's just not there. What's going on, family? What's going on, family? What's happening, everybody? Whew. Today is everybody's here. Everybody. We got TikTok, we got Instagram, we got TikTok, we got YouTube. Everybody is here. So let's get started. I think this is going to be very important. This is the reason that I'm actually doing this one, because this is probably going to be one of the most important ones that I've done in a while. So let's as my friend says, let's play ball. Let's get this thing together. Let me get my little echo out of here. Yeah, let's get the echo out of here. If you looked at the title, this is going to be one of those that's like really important. So I want you to make sure you take good notes. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad everybody is here. This one will change your life. It has changed mine. This will change your life. One of the things that we deal with when it comes to our lives is a desk with stuff all over it, because you can't find nothing because everything's all over your desk. One of the things we deal with when it comes to that is our understanding of what God desires from us and how God desires it. I'm welcoming and I'm thank you everybody that has joined the masterclass. But we're gonna get deep in this today. We're gonna get deep. We probably won't get as deep as we would get in the masterclass, but we're gonna get deep in it today because I'm watching the unfolding of greatness. You guys are now, and I know somebody's probably going, well, what about me? I'm not doing anything. Nothing's happening to my life. What's going on with me? What's happening with you? You guys are operating in another level of greatness, and you don't see it because you don't know that you're in a battle. And what happens to a lot of us when we don't know that we're in a battle, we find ourselves nitpicking the defeat instead of embracing the victory. When you don't know you're in a battle, you find yourself nitpicking the defeat instead of embracing the victory. Okay? So a lot of us are actually in that place right now. You're in that place where you feel like, okay, am I really battling something? Am I somewhere? Is something going on? Well, whoa. Wow. Am I really battling something? Am I something going on? So let's dig right in. Okay. Those of you that are part of it, you know we have a difference between salvation and being saved. And we know that Romans, the 10th chapter, is dealing with saved and being saved, or sozas. You've been sozad. Sozad means I've been rescued. I've been pulled from something. And so when you understand that mentality, you understand that there's something God is saying other than just, hey, why don't you come and get saved? There's more to that. So we're going to start with Romans. Romans, the 10th chapter. Romans, the 10th chapter. And do I want to go to Romans, the 10th chapter? What are we going to go to Romans, the 10th chapter? Let's start with Matthew. Matthew, the 12th chapter. Let's start with Matthew, the 12th chapter. Okay. Matthew, the 12th chapter. Now, follow me here. You are the God of your world. Okay? The world that you have right now, you have control of it. Here's the key. You've had control of it from the moment that you understood that you were in a world. You had control of this world. And not only did you have control of this world, you could have made this world anything you wanted to. The moment that you realized that you were alive and you were here, that was the moment that you attracted to you the energy, the spirit, the anointing that was necessary to create the world that you were in, or that you're in. That was the moment that your battle began. That was the moment that you came into the realization that I have to create something in my world. Some of you were great in high school, then you went to college, then you got a job. Some of you didn't finish high school. Some of you didn't go to high school some of you didn't go to high school at all. Some of you didn't go to school at all. All of these things took place, but I need you to hear me there. Within those places, you established who you were. If you were the pretty girl in school, You thought you were going to be the pretty girl all the time. And so you get out into reality, and all of a sudden what you should have done in school, you didn't do because you got away because you were the pretty girl. It was a closed-in environment. It was a closed-in community. And in that community, you rose to the top. So now you get out on your own and you can't rise to the top in that community. Why? Because in that community, it's no longer the same one. Now your community went from you, school, and 300 people to now maybe 3 million people in a city. So now you have to figure out, what am I going to do with my life? You had your husband, your wife, you had all the things there. You played basketball. You were somebody. But you never capitalized on the ability to be somebody to give you opportunity to do something greater. So now you're stuck. You get little odd jobs because you don't have enough money to go to school. You don't have enough money to do anything. You're kind of stuck in this little world. So you go to church. And when you go to church, you're looking for opportunity for God to do something. You say, okay, maybe I'll try God because the relationship you tried, bro, wasn't good. The relationship you tried, sister, wasn't good. The jobs are not there. You're not educated like they tell you you want to be. And now all of a sudden, the vision begins to close in on you. And you never realize that that was the moment you took control of your life. So now life began to control you. You got pregnant and now you have children. All these things begin to happen. You married a crazy husband and he's going crazy. You married a crazy wife and she's trying to take you to get you for alimony. All these things happen, and the more they happen, the less you feel like you're in control of your life. So now you're at 30 or 29 or 30, and there are regrets. You already have regrets. You haven't really established who you were, and you already have regrets. Why? I wish I hadn't married him. I wish I hadn't had these children. I wish I hadn't done all these different things. And what has happened is you have been in control, but you were never told how to control. You were told to go to church. You were told you need to find Jesus. You were told all these different things, but you were never told how to take control. You follow me? So you go into church, and once you go into church, they begin to tell you there's something named God. So long story short, because I'm not going to be here all day. Long story short, they tell you there's something that's named God, but they never tell you that you are the one that's in control. They never tell you that the power of God is inside your life. They never tell you that you are everything that God wants to do in your life. They never tell you that, okay, wait a minute now, you are what everything that needs to take place in your life has to take place according to what you were thinking right now, what you believe right now. They're not telling you that. Hey, you know what? I should have let my hair grow. I should have dated that guy. I should have took that job. I should have took that opportunity. I had several opportunities for myself to gain notoriety. I could have been on television. They were offering me an HBO special. All these things happen, and they happened to me because what was brought to my life, hear me guys, what was brought to my life was according to my ability, not according to how I thought about myself. It was according to your ability, but not the ability that you have within your body, the ability that you had within your spirit, because it had purpose. It wasn't your potential, it was your purpose. Matthew is speaking, and the 34th, he's talking to and I want you to hear something, this is going to be kind of clever. He's talking to the Pharisees, and he goes in chapter 12, verse 34, he says, O generation of vipers, how can you be evil, speak good things, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. That's very important. Write that down. For a good man out of the good treasures of his heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the treasures of his heart brings forth evil things. Now, I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me. What has happened to you in this situation is you've now been established and put into position to where you now have to establish who you are. You have to establish your righteousness. You have to establish your righteousness. You made mistakes, you made decisions, but now the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks. I need you to hear me. Now, let's jump over to Romans. Now, remember he said, if you're going to make the tree good or you're going to make the tree evil, from your heart, you determine that tree. Now, he's not talking about the heart that beats, because the heart that beats is determined by God. So your heart that beats, your love heart, is God. But the heart that is your being, he means the center of your being. That's how you bring forth this thing. Now, let's go to Romans, the 10th chapter. I'm going to show you something here. Romans, the 10th chapter. Because what has happened is, what's in your life, you've allowed in your life, but you didn't allow it in your life on purpose. Somebody made you allow this in your life because they told you this is what you deserved in your life. Ladies, they said you had to have a husband. He had to have a job. He had to have this. He had to have that. It was told to you that. It was told this is how this had to be done. This was told that this was supposed to be done. But what was happening to you is they were creating an opportunity for you to begin to confess, because the Spirit knows how powerful you are. You just don't know. Now, let's do Romans. We're going to do Romans, the 10th chapter and the first verse. And it says, brother, my heart desires and prays to God for Israel is that they might be saved. They may be rescued. For I bear them record that they have a zeal for God, but according to knowledge. A zeal for God, but according to knowledge, not wisdom. For they are ignorant of God's righteousness and going about establishing their own righteousness, for not submitting themselves unto the righteousness of God. Now, I want you to hear me here. The ignorance of God's ability causes you to establish your own righteousness. Now, here's the deal. Whether you establish the righteousness or whether you don't establish the righteousness, it takes your power to do it. Now, he says in Israel, in this case, he said they won't acknowledge that God is powerful. There are places in our lives that we don't acknowledge that God is powerful. We acknowledge that God is there, but we don't acknowledge that God is powerful. So what we do is we get caught up in these little chasms and these little places, and those places are the things that establish us and position us. And so now we're stuck here saying, okay, I believe God, I don't believe God. Now, are you ready? Are you ready? I want everybody to buckle up because we're going deep. I want y'all to buckle up now. So you go to church, and when they tell you to go to church, they establish a position over you that is not a position over you. So a pastor comes in, and whatever pastor tells you, that's what you do. But pastor doesn't have righteousness in mind. He has revelation. He has building in mind. Pastor doesn't have you in mind. They are not your friends. And I need you. I'm not your friend. You follow me? I know you love Uncle Dallas, and Uncle Dallas loves you, but I'm not your friend. My job is not to be your friend. My job is to get you out of where you are and to uproot that stuff that is holding you from moving into the greatness of God. So I'm not here to protect your feelings. I'm here to get you to control your feelings. I'm not here to get you to like everything I say. I'm here to let you understand that what I'm saying has validity. Do something with it. So he said, Israel won't hear God. And so what they've done is they've established their own righteousness. We all have done it. Everybody here, everybody's listening to me, all your friends, everybody. Establishing your righteousness is simple as somebody says something to hurt your feelings, and you have determined what you're going to handle that situation with. You go down a road and you decide that I want this man because he has this, and you begin to pray, God, give me this husband. And then while you have this husband, he starts doing all these crazy things, and you're wondering, why did I marry this man? All these things happen because you've established your own righteousness. Now, let me help you out. It sounds bad, but this is simple. Righteousness is the decision to make the right path, or follow the right path. That's all righteousness is. So you've decided the path that you need to follow is according to how you feel. I feel like this is a good husband. I feel like this is a good wife. Now, the determination of whether he's a good husband or a good wife is not the amount of time that we argue. No, it's not. Because two people coming together, there will be conflict. The fact that the job is not God or the job is God is not the fact that you like the person and don't like the job. Now, because I need you to understand something. Your job is under your auspices, under your domain. So if you're not praying over the place you go to work and they cussing and doing all the things that make you uncomfortable, it's not them, because the devil is going to be the devil. You have to be the power. The people that are under you are going to be the subjects, regardless. You are the God of your situation. So you can't get mad if they start saying things or doing things, because you are in control. You may not want to be in control because you are so emotionally tied to this that they got your emotions going up and down. Today you're happy, tomorrow you're sad. Today you're happy, tomorrow you're sad. Hear me very closely. The purpose of going to work is to fulfill the path of God for your life and to make the money necessary to pay for that path. That's it. You are not there to like anybody. They're not there to like you. The purpose of them is for you to go to follow the path of God and for you to pay or have the funds to do what God tells you to do. Number 3, learn the trade. You're in school. But we want to establish who we like in school, so we establish our own righteousness. Now, he said from the abundance of the heart. So your heart is stuck in, oh, I like my car and I like my coworker. I got a good boss. You got a good boss because your boss likes you. That's how you determine your boss. You're not determining your boss because your boss has come to you and said, okay, bro, this is what I'm going to do. Not only am I going to get you to do your job, I'm going to teach you how to invest your money outside of here, and you're going to be a millionaire. Your boss is not teaching you how to be sustained outside of this. He's only teaching you what's necessary to keep you in labor, to keep you in working, to keep you pressured. You have to understand, when this says you are in labor, that means you're going to produce something for somebody. So what they have to do, follow me, they have to plant you, impregnate you with what they want you to produce. So when they say to you, oh, I'm going to make you general manager, I'm going to do this, they're impregnating you with a vision that you will begin to follow their path of righteousness. Are you following me? So now what you have to realize is, how do I change paths? So we go on down a little further. Let's go to the one I told you, Romans 10, 9 and 10. He said, if thou confess with thy mouth, if thou confess with thy mouth, the Lord Jesus, and shall believe in my heart God hath raised him from the dead, I shall be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. With the heart, with your being, you confess. With the heart, man believes unto the right path. So people are planting things in your heart to change your path. That's all that is taking place to you. Things are planted in your heart so that you can follow their path. Can I give you a news brief? Here's an update. High school, elementary school, high school, college were not there to educate you. What they're there is to inundate you. So while you're going, I got to get a college degree, I got to go to this. That's fine. But understand, they do not have your best interest in mind. As much as they do look like it, they do not. You follow me? Why? Because what you have to determine is where you're going to go. When I was younger, they would teach you how to fix cars, how to home ec. They would teach you how to live a life outside of school. Now you have to learn what's necessary because they got enough people outside of school working. What you have to now establish is who you are according to them. I need you to ask yourself a question. Who did you let into your world because of that? You came out and you had this righteousness. You're watching social media, watching television, you're watching all these things. You came out and you had this righteousness. I want a husband. So you went out and got fun. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand it in my entire life, and maybe it's something I'll never have to understand. I never understood people getting out and going to get drunk because that's fun. Losing control of their faculties and calling that fun. Throwing up all the different things they do and they call it fun. I'll never understand that. Because me being in control of my faculties, to me, that's fun. To me, that's life. But me not having control of my faculties, sweetheart, that's not fun for me. Okay, now, y'all ready? Here we go. You come out of school, whatever level of school. Somebody grabs you and say, hey, come to our church. And what they do is they tell you, hey, when you come to our church, you can come and meet our pastor. Our pastor likes these kind of people. They never say, come meet God. They say, come meet our pastor. And so you go up to the pastor, and now you are in a place where you're now submitting to somebody else's righteousness because you want to be out of your situation. When they never said to you, every person on here, hear me today. The world you have right now is established by what you have allowed in it. The world you are dealing with right now is established by what you have allowed, what you've allowed, and what you've allowed. Now, how have you allowed it? Because what you say with your lips gives praise and attraction to what you desire. What you say with your lips gives a desire and attraction to what you want. When you say, there are 5 things that you left in your life. Most people let in their life. Number 1, you let sickness in your life, you let poverty in life, procrastination in your life, fear in your life, and you let people in your life. All those 3 things have bothered you. And so what has happened is, instead of you getting them out of your life, you adjust your life for them to stay. It's like you having a house. You got a big old beautiful house and it's all white, and you tell everybody to come in and take their shoes off. Somebody comes in, they don't take their shoes off. They walk around the house, get mud all over the house. Instead of you telling them, no, you don't come any further because you're messing up the house, you adjust your life to the fact that they're in there. So instead of your white carpet, you could put brown carpet to match the mud. You've altered that. But what you have to understand is, whether you altered your life or not, sister, whether you altered your life or not, bruh, you are still in control. The moment you decide to take that control will be the moment that your world changes. But we are so inundated with people's thoughts about our lives. We are so inundated with afraid of people's opinions of what they're going to think about us. And then if we don't do that, then we become mad and angry and aggressive to people that don't believe like we are, because we've never balanced ourselves out. We're either happy or sad. We're either in depression or in happiness. We've never learned how to live the consistent rhythm of the righteousness or the right path of God. So you go to this church and he has no problem. He has no problem. He doesn't even know your name. So when he releases something, if he does not release it according to the Spirit of God, he releases it because it's best benefiting what he's doing or she's doing, whatever the pastor may be. So now what you're now is teetering between what you believe is God's power and what you believe is not you. So you're now going, I'm not a good person because I drink. I'm not a good person. I told you I'm going to go deep, because I smoke. I'm not a good person. The things that you've done in your life that have been detriments to your life are not because you're a bad person. They're the only way you felt you could respond to the pressure of being who you were. So you drank because it would numb the feeling that you are feeling in life. You smoke because you feel like maybe that'll open my mind up to something else. You follow after processes and people because you don't have the life that you want. So you follow after people that make you feel like you can have that life. And so you follow after these pastors and these priests and these evangelist pastors of the fivefold ministry. You follow after them because you don't want to take responsibility for your life. Because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You don't know what to say about your life, and you don't know how to get out of it. The reason you don't know how to get out of it is not because you're lazy and not because you're dumb. It's not even because you're weak. It's because you don't know that you have the power to change it by what you say. 5 things, guys. Pray, meditation, praise, worship, declaration. Declaration. You establish these things with the 4, and then you speak that thing. You speak it out in life. Why? Because that's how you get it done. So now you are stuck in this place because you have invited these things into your life. Now here's the rub. Here's the rub. You know what the rub is? You've been inviting them for so long that you think you're supposed to invite them back. You think you're supposed to invite them back. But you don't know. People, we live as abused people. If you've seen an abused woman, you go, oh, girl, I wouldn't do that. No, can't no man do this, but you're doing it anyway. You may not do it to an abusive man. You've been an abuser to yourself. You are doing the same thing. And I'm watching the syndrome happen. I'm watching the syndrome happen. There's some of you that are sitting here that are with me right now. I promise you, if you had an opportunity, you'd be rushing yourself to church on Sunday. If it had not been for COVID, you'd be sitting in church right now going, hey, hallelujah. Hey, you doing, sister? God bless you, brother. How you doing? Oh, you'd be sitting there right now. Why? You don't know why you're there. Somebody told you to be there on Sunday. Somebody told you to be there on Sunday. They never showed you to say, well, forsake not to assemble ourselves with the fellow saints, because that's right. But it didn't mean you had to be in the building. They never told you, look, on Sunday, why don't you have a dinner with all your family and you do a Bible study with all your family? They never told you that. Why? Because you were calling out to somebody to save you. You wanted something to get you out of this thing. But what you did not know, bruh, what you did not know, sis, the circumstances, the situations in your life were not there to destroy you. They were to wake you up and say, you know you're more powerful than this, right? You know you're bigger than this. You know you're better than this. But you don't want to attach or detach from the emotional or the established personal traits that made you who you are. So you are just that person. You go this far. No, if they don't say nothing to me, I ain't saying nothing to them. If they don't ask me, I'm not. You go this far and you've established this whole righteousness, but you're stuck in a situation where you are who you think you are because of what has happened to you, and it's been your response to that thing. I was talking to a young lady the other day and she goes, I need to go ahead and get married. I said, why? She said, I don't want to have no baby when I'm 30 years old. Why? What? Because somebody told her that 30 was old. Somebody told her that her body couldn't handle 30 years old. Can I say something that's going to probably be something that's not going to be comfortable? Unless they have tested somebody that is according to your DNA, whether you black, white, if they've tested somebody according to your DNA, scientists have nothing to say to you until they've tested somebody like you. But they do a general test that says 9 out of 10 people, when they eat donuts, they get fat. So you are now speaking fatness into your life every time a donut is there. You are now a weak person because you don't follow what they've set up for you. So that righteous path that you have tried to take is now altered because somebody told you something that has nothing to do with your life, simply has to do with what they have researched and found out. My wife asks me every day, when you get up and teach, why don't you write 3 months or 3 weeks out in the back? I said, because I have to get up and hear what God is saying pertaining to right now. I can't give you what he said last week. I've got to give you what he says right now. So when I got up right now, and I will show you. When I got up this morning, these are my notes. These are my notes. I wrote them just now. Why? Because I know what I'm talking about, somebody is dealing with. I know you're dealing with the fact that you have stuff in your life, people in your life, circumstances in your life, and you don't know why they keep coming back. Why is it no matter how hard I try with money, I end up losing my money? Why is it every time I try to have a relationship, it goes bad? Why is it that every time I go to church, you have these things that are happening and you don't know why? So I can't give you a cookie cutter preach or a cookie cutter teaching. I have to give you what you hear. Here is your problem. Here is your challenge. Are you going to take what's being said, do something with it, or are you going to keep making excuses for what you're dealing with? You've allowed these things in your house. Now, it has taken years for them to happen. They're not going to leave in weeks. You've got to establish a mental capacity, a mental mindset that begins to move this stuff out of your life. Baby, I don't care if you're 80 years old. Until God says that you are going to get old, stop telling yourself you're old. Stop telling people you're old. Why? Because the only thing, can I get deep in this thing again? The only thing that stops you from muscles not hurting and not being able to walk a mile and not being able to jump like you used to jump or run like you used to jump is you. You've talked yourself out of it. Well, I got this ailment, this sickness. Listen, whatever you got, you let in your life. And the reason you let in your life, because when God began to warn you, I know this ain't going to be easy to hear, but you need to hear me. When God began to warn you, stop doing that, stop hanging out with that person, stop eating that, That was the moment that you decided, I'm grown. I can eat what I want to eat. I'm big and bad enough to live. You've established your own righteous path. Now, honey, it ain't even that serious. All you got to do is change the path. Try eating vegetables for a week. Stop complaining. Oh, they're expensive. Well, try eating vegetables. Leave the house when you finish listening to me. Go get some vegetables. Stop making excuses why you are not moving the way you need to move. Go get something healthy. Stop looking on that and say, oh, I'm going to get me some watermelon one of these days so I can stop. Go do it now. Listen consistently. Think quickly. Think briefly. Move quickly. Because you have the power over your life. Hear consistently. Are you hearing me? Listen consistently. Think briefly, move quickly. Why? Because what you have done is you've been calling to these spirits every single day. Stop saying that's what it is. Stop saying what the doctor says it is. Listen, I don't care if the doctor says it. And I have people say, well, I believe the doctors were made by man. No, man was made by man. Doctors were established by us. The reason that one of the disciples was a physician is so that God could show the physician the alternative to what physician says and what spirit says. One of the disciples was a physician. Now you follow me? Now, do I deny doctors? No, I don't deny doctors. Do I deny counselors? No, I don't deny counselors. What I do deny is that you allow us, I'm one of those people, you allow us to get you emotionally in the wrong direction instead of realizing Uncle Dallas is going to keep telling you you're powerful till you wake up and realize I'm trying to tell you you're powerful. Start today. Yes, I'm going to give you those things again. You've invited sickness into your life. Everybody. I don't care if it's sickness all the way to cancer and to the point of a headache. When the headache starts, listen to me now. When the headache starts, that's when you fight the battle. You don't fight the battle when you bent over the bed with a migraine, when you feel it kind of rumbling in your head, when you feel like you're a little bit uncomfortable. That's when you be going, no, 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 no. That doesn't belong here. When you call upon the name of the Lord, now I'm going to help you out now. When you call upon the name of the Lord, Soza says you are saved. So what you have to do is call on upon the name of the anointing, which is the Spirit. What you have to do is you have to call on the power of Susan, the power of Jamie. You got to go one to twin powers activate. Form of a healed person. Shape of healing. You got to pull in your power. You've been a superhero the whole time, but they've used your powers against you. When it says, who are you calling? Seriously. When it says, who are you calling? When it says that to you, you have to believe that you are in the right place at the right time. Now, I hope TikTok didn't do it. A lot of times when those people call in, they mess up the TikTok. If y'all can still hear me, we'll keep going. Verse 10, he says, for with the heart man believeth unto the right path. With the heart man believes unto the right path. With the heart man believes unto the right path. Now, I need everybody that can type. Let me put my glasses on. Everybody that can write. Everybody that can type. We're about to turn left. So I need everybody to do something before we turn left. I need everybody to say this. Type it on your thing. Forgive me, Lord, for my path. Forgive me, Lord, for my path. Matter of fact, I'm going to type it as well. Forgive me, Lord, for my path. I take your path. Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me, God. Forgive me, Father, for taking my own path. Show me your path. Let's do it that way. Forgive me, Lord, for taking my own path. Show me your path. Forgive me, Lord, for taking my own path. Show me your path. Forgive me, Lord, for taking my own path. Show me your path. There were those of you that got upset because your emotions control. Forgive me, Lord, for taking my path. Show me your path. God, I speak that to my life. Forgive me for taking my path. Show me your path. What you have to realize is God has given you a path, and your path is a path of victory. Stop establishing what you think. People, listen, everybody's not trying to get over on you. Everybody's not the same old person. I love these people that call me and go, well, you know what? I'm trying to, listen, forgive me for that path, God. Forgive me. We can't let go because we don't want to be vulnerable to God. We can't move because we don't want to get in trouble. We can't think because we don't want to think the wrong thing. We are so stuck because the patterns that we have, and listen, it's some of us that don't go to church. We are more religious than it's some of us that don't go to church. And the reason we are religious is because we still are eye for an eye. We're still trying to say, well, he did that. Now he got to do this back for me. We're still trying to figure out whether what we said or what we did is the right thing to do and the wrong. Listen, here's the deal. Let God give you a path. What you think you lost was never lost. What you think you lost was never lost. What you think you lost was never lost. The problem is when you let it go, you went down the path of loss. When you let it go, you went down the lost path. Your brother calls you up. He said he needs something. Your brother comes over to the house. Your brother take crack. Your brother's on drugs. Your brother steals your TV. So you go down the path of, I ain't gonna never deal with him. No. He stole the TV. It's a TV. And so now you go down the unrighteousness path or the path that is not beneficial to your life. And now you're wondering, why are things happening in my life? Why is it so crazy? Why? Because you took the path that your emotion told you to take. You never took the path that your spirit told you to take. Why? Because that makes you feel like you have lost. You think you've lost. And you don't want nobody to get over on you because the people that get over on you are the people that you think you've lost. So, I said to you a long time ago, I said, guys, you need to let everything go. Some of you heard me, some of you didn't. I want you to understand this. I want you to understand what the situations there right now in your life. And you that have been with me a long time, I know you guys have moved in those areas. But I'm trying to get those last little pieces out before we go into the masterclass. Because when we get into the masterclass, I need you to understand who you are. It's not going to benefit you if you think you're who you were. You need to understand who you are. So when we go to the 9th chapter, it says, many call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. He's not talking about calling on the name of the Lord as in just getting saved all the time. Remember, it's soza, which means he's rescuing you. He's not wanting you to call on the rescuer. He wants you to call on the establisher, the person that's inside of you. What you have to do is begin to call out that thing that he placed inside of you that made you who you are. So when you get into a situation, you don't need to go, Jesus! No. Now, let me say this before I go any further. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with calling on Jesus. Those of you that went in the military, you didn't go in the military so you can stay in boot camp. And military is very good. My wife is very. You don't stay because of boot camp. You learn your MOS and you establish it to the point that when your officers, when the people that are above you ask you to do a job, you can do the job without the influence or without the oversight of the person that has taught you the job or the leader. You are not, please hear me, you are not here so you can always call on Jesus. Please realize that. You are not here that every time something come up, I got to go talk to Jesus. You don't have to talk to Jesus. You have to simply listen to what God is saying to you. Because what Jesus was the door or the key to the door. What he was the key to the door. All you have to do is open yourself up to the mindset that God gave you. Open yourself up to what he's releasing to you all the time. You are not in lack. What you are is in revenge. Hear me. You're not in lack, you're in revenge. You're not in sickness, you're in fear. Let's start. Let's read them down. So I can see what y'all saying. If you have sickness, you're not in sickness, you're in fear. Number one, you've allowed sickness in. And so if you listen to a person with sickness, any sickness, listen to how much fear they speak. Listen to how much fear. Well, I don't want to die. I don't want them to hurt my head. I don't want to. Listen to the fear they speak. So if you deal with fear, you can deal with sickness. The second one is poverty. You don't have poverty, you just don't have perspective. You don't have poverty, you don't have perspective. I'm helping y'all out. You don't have poverty, you don't have perspective. You don't lack. See, what you have to realize is that in each of these things, it's not your problem that you have, it's your outlook. It's the spirit that you've allowed. So people that have sickness are totally afraid. They're always afraid. Now, how do I know that? When they told me that they were going to have to cut into my nose because this tear duct was swelling up and I couldn't cry and I barely could see out this eye. They said, we got to cut a quarter. And I realized, oh my God, they got to cut into my nose. And you begin to deal with the spirit of fear. Now, for those of you that when it comes to money, growth, wealth, you're not broke, you don't have perspective. So what you're doing is you're looking like this at what God is doing because you go, oh, I got this and oh, I got this, instead of looking at the earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof. So those of you that are having money issues, well, let's do it this. If there's sickness in your house, in your life, and you want to get rid of sickness, I need you to write down, get past the fear. If you're having situation when it comes to money, then what you need to do is I have to get my eyes to see the way God sees. Isaiah said, and expand the borders of your tent. You are looking at what you can do and what you can get because you believe that it's all about you. You believe it's about what you made, what you say. See, because what you don't understand, perspective, what tomorrow you can be gone. And so all the people around you that you've established as this is how I'm going to get this done, it's all gone because tomorrow's not promised to you. So perspective says, how do I move so it's a constant increase so that I can live the life that God gave me? We make excuses because of people. So if that is the problem, you have sickness, your perspective has changed. Procrastination. You ready? Sickness, fear, poverty, procrastination. And let me deal with this poverty thing. I was talking to a friend of mine today. Poverty's perspective. Talk to a friend of mine. And a friend of mine who makes a lot of money. He does well. But he doesn't do millionaire well. He does very well. He doesn't want for anything. And so I'm talking to him about something one time. And I said, dude, why don't you take a private jet? He goes, no. That's the spirit of poverty. I want y'all to hear me. And it's so sublime that a lot of us never see it. Because we look at our 401ks and a brother said to me one time, he said, dude, how do you do what you do when you do what you do? I said, I do it by the Spirit of God. He goes, well, what about, do you do this? I said, because I make mistakes doesn't mean I do it by the Spirit of God. You don't know my life. You guys do not know my life. So I watch God do what God says do. And he makes sure that I'm okay. Now, am I okay the way you think I'm okay? No, I'm okay the way he says I'm okay. And so when I begin to talk to this guy, he sends me a text message back. He said, Dallas, I never knew that I was stuck in poverty. Some of you are stuck so dependent on what you're doing and how that produces that you don't know that God has more for you. And then when he has more for you, you're settled in this place. And this is why I'm going to this one. Then procrastination comes in. Procrastination comes in. Procrastination is self-doubt. Write that down. Procrastination is self-doubt. That's a spirit of self-doubt. Procrastination is self-doubt. So now the system has broke you down so hard that you don't even know that you're valuable. So you think you're only as valuable as your education, as your job, as what people say about you. So procrastination is self-doubt. You don't believe you could do it because if you knew you could do it, there is nothing that will stop you from doing it. Right now, if God magically touched you and every time you made a peanut butter sandwich, it would make you $1,000, you would be making peanut butter sandwiches in your sleep. Why? Because you believe that those sandwiches are valuable. You have self-doubt. And the purpose of self-doubt is to keep you moving around doing a whole bunch of stuff, looking busy, and distracting yourself from the path that God has for you. Remember I said your own path? That's why Matthew says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness and his right path. And all these things will be added to you. Procrastination is self-doubt. That's a spirit. That is a spirit. We'll talk about that in the masterclass. Self-doubt. So that's where I'm at. When I talk about the masterclass, it's $100. And when you look at that process, I'm listening to everybody say, well, I can't do. You've never taken the time to say, there is nothing that can stop me from doing whatever I need to do. Procrastination. Number 4, fear. Fear is a lack of knowledge. Fear is a lack of knowledge. So what happens is you now find yourself in a position where you have a lack of knowledge. So if you have fear, you need to be in a class. Why? Because you need to get information to get over fear. Fear is not the fact that you're insecure about how speaking in front of people. Fear is not the fact that you don't like snakes or you don't like height. Fear is the fact that there is a lack of knowledge in your life. That's what fear is. See, when you understand these things, what's happening, and we're going to talk about, in fact, the first month of the masterclass, we're going to talk about all these different spirits. Because once you get over the spirit, then you can get to what the spirit has holding. Say that again. Once you beat the spirit, you get what the spirit has. Once you crack open once you crack open whatever that thing is, you get the contents of what they're holding. Some of you, what you desire from God is being held by the fact that you got fear. Because I'm going to show something to you. Fear, sickness, poverty, procrastination, and fear. Now, here's something interesting. Now, watch this. The enemy brings sickness through fear. So when you have sickness, that means there's fear there. But fear itself is a lack of knowledge. Did y'all see how that connects together? So fear itself is a lack of knowledge. So what you now have is your sickness says you have fear, which means you have a lack of knowledge. So you don't know that God can heal you. So you depend on somebody that you feel has knowledge in order for you to carry yourself through that thing. Fear is a lack of knowledge. Now, got that? When you understand this, see, a lot of you think that somebody's trying to get you. Oh, he's trying to get you. What about this? You owe me this. You should have did this. You think these people are trying to get you. Can I really help y'all out? My God, this feels good this morning. Can I really help y'all out? I've said this a number of times, and one of these days y'all gonna hear me, but I'm gonna keep saying it. You are not justified by what people behind you say, feel, or think. What they owe you, what they don't owe you. Your God is so much bigger than that, that what you have released, he has already done 10 times over and he's bringing it back to you. So if you've given that brother $50, he's got $500 coming. You just got to be back in position. If you've said, I love you to somebody, God's got somebody that loves you. When you understand that you're not trying to be a reaping and sowing, you're one plants, one waters, God gives the increase. You have to realize that you are a source, and that source is always being, Galatians 6:7 says, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. He goes, if you let it go, I'll develop it and bring it back to you. So stop being afraid to let go, which is the last thing. The fear of loss. The fear of loss. What the fear of loss is not understanding your position. The fear of loss is not knowing your position. Write it down. The fear of loss is a spirit of not knowing your position. Not knowing your position. That's what the fear of loss is. Not knowing your position. See, here's what you have to understand. What you've invited into your life over the years it fell into some of these categories. Okay? And when it fell into those categories, you begin to do the things you did. And if you watch your life closely, you duplicate the things over and over again. Why? Because you're still in a religious mindset. You're not religious, you're in a religious mindset. A friend of mine called me and said, why don't I read the book, Make Your Bed? So I read the book, Make Your Bed, read the whole book, Make Your Bed. I was happy I read through a book. When I read the book, Make Your Bed, it was not spiritual in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It wasn't close to spiritual. But what it did for me is get me to understand who I was. You don't know your position. So what you do is you nitpick with little positions in the hopes that you will establish a position that makes you feel like you're okay. Let me make that make sense. So, you don't find a husband, and so all of a sudden you begin to believe that there's something wrong with you. And so when you believe that there's something wrong with you, you then begin to alter yourself so that you're attracting the kind of person you want because you don't want to be lonely by yourself. You can't find a wife. What you do, you begin to work out, you begin to try to smell good, you try to attract them because you think this is all carnal. You've been convinced that this is all about this. So you get on those kind of sites and that kind of site, and those things are okay. But what you have to make understand and make sense of is that the fact that God has something for you. And if you begin to walk toward what he has for you, hear me, if you walk toward what he has for you, what you now are trying to establish and fix and make happen in your life, he'll make it happen better than you could have ever made it happen. Let's do this. Talking to a young lady. I tell this story all the time. Talk to a young lady. She calls me up and she has her husband on child support or ex-husband on child support. I don't believe in ex-husband, but that's what we call it. Has him on child support. She calls me up. She says, Prophet Dallas, I need to know what to do. I said, okay, what's the situation? She tells me the situation. I sit back and God says, tell her to let go. I said, go to court. She was on her way to court on Friday. Never forget this all the days of my life. She was on her way to court on Friday. She said, no, yes, it was Thursday. She was going on Friday. She said, on Friday, Thursday, I got to go to court. I said, what do you want? She said, what should I do? I said, let him go. I said, see, what do you mean? I said, take him off of child support. She said, he owes me $35,000 and he has never done anything for that. See, we want to live in history because we believe history is going to establish the prosperity for the future. We don't want to live today. We're afraid to live today. We're afraid to let go. That's that thing. You're afraid. You're afraid of loss because you don't know who you are. You don't know your position. That's why you're afraid of loss. That's when I say, hey, I need everybody to go and give me this and do this and that. I've talked to 3 or 4 people about the class and they told me, oh, I don't know. I promise you the 3 or 4 people I talked to, they had what they needed. They just don't know that God's already got them. I've been there before. I've been there. Here's the key. So I said, what I need you to do is I need you to let go. Go tell the judge that you have released him from the contract of child support. You're going to learn 2 things. Number 1, you learn child support has nothing to do with children. And number 2, that they want him to stay on worse than you want him to stay on. And then number 3, I should have said number 3. Number 3, you're going to realize that God's got your back. She goes, Dallas, I'm going to trust you. I'm just going to trust what God's saying through you. And she goes to court. She goes in on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, she said they begged me almost not to take him off of child support. She said, Dallas, they begged me like I was going to do them an injustice if I took him off of child support. And I said, guys, I do. He is released. He is done. Signed all the paperwork. He's off of child support. Because the thing she was doing about child support, it had nothing to do with the money. It had to do with the fact that I don't want to get caught. I want revenge and all these kind of things it had nothing to do with those things. It had to do with the fact that she wanted to make sure he felt what she felt. It's a spirit. She calls me on Friday because I'm already in town. She says, all right, Dallas, I did it. I said, trust God. She said, oh, I trust God. 3 days later, she gets a phone call. She had this little invention that she didn't show anybody. 3 days later, that invention called. The lady said, I'm going to give you $20,000. I'm going to say, I'm not sure. I'm going to say, I think it's $40,000. I'm going to give you $40,000 for your invention. So all the money that she was trying to get from her ex-husband, God gave her in one fell sweep. You don't know who you are. You don't know your position. Philippians says equal with God. So what happens is the last one is the fear of loss. You're so afraid you're going to lose. And when you get that fear, you begin to start nitpicking your life because you're trying not to lose. Some stuff you got to let go, people. My son, I don't want my son to hurt. I don't want that's not your job. You have established your own righteousness. When I got to this point in my life, I let everybody go. Everybody. When I talk to you from a clean slate. Every time I talk to you, it's a clean slate. I don't care if I've given you. I used to have a guy to get all my suits. I don't care if I've given you cars. I don't care if I move from a clean slate. Why? Because I know my position in God. See, I used to think that my position in God was my ability to work and do business and do all these kind of things. And I used to think that's what it was. But that was not my ability. My ability is to make sure I knew God. And that was the key to everything. Now, do I owe people stuff? Yes, I do. I do. And some of them, I talk to them, I teach them. But honey, I'm going to still move the way God tells me to move. You have to let go. Once you let go, now you go back to Romans, the 10th chapter. Now you go back to Romans, the 10th chapter. And when you go back to Romans, the 10th chapter, you believe, he said, if thou wilt confess with thy mouth. Now remember, this is a saved passage. This is not a born again passage. And we'll talk about that a little later. So that means confess with your mouth what's inside and believe it, and it comes to pass. I encourage everybody to write. Just write. But you have to do this. You have to think, listen consistently, think briefly, move quickly. If you're sitting at the house, let's do the sickness thing. You're sitting at the house and you're flipping through TikTok, Instagram, whatever. You're flipping through it. And the lady comes on and she says, if you eat tomato or a lemon, celery, cucumber, and watermelon, that'll help with your diabetes. Don't think about it. Go get it. At that moment, go get it. If you're flipping through and you're listening to one of my videos and I say, get out the house and start walking. Don't think about it. Go do it. Just start walking. Just go walking around the mall. Why? Because what I need you to understand is when you speak a word, hear me, you create a season. When you speak a word, you create a season. What you have to now know is when that season agrees with the season of God, you have to go seize the moment. So when you speak a word, you create a season. And when that season agrees with God, you have to go seize the moment. Now, those of you that came to the conference, I told you there are only 3 people that God speaks to. Period. I don't care who you are. God only speaks to 3 kind of people. And so when you speak a word, you speak from that, and then that word, if that word changes the season and the season agrees with God's season, you now need to seize it. Everybody needs to be in the master class. You hear it, seize the moment. Why? Because when you seize the moment, you stop depending on you and depend on God. Why? Especially if you know you're supposed to be there. You seize the moment. When you seize the moment, God opens doors for you. But you don't seize the moment. You tell God that I don't trust you enough to seize the moment. Well, I got fear. That's okay. Seize the moment. Because what the seizing the moment does changes that. So what you have to do to seize this moment is stop calling to the things you don't want. Don't go, I can't whistle. Don't start whistling and then you whistling for a dog and a rabbit comes. You're going, I didn't call you. I called the dog. So what you have to realize is start calling out to the things that you want. Calling out to the situations that you want. Why? Because if God says, and now if this resonates in your spirit, I got to get you sent to the spirit. If it resonates to you, I need to take that master class, go handle it. Why? Because he's about to take you to the next level because he just opened something up to you. Right now, if this is good, could you understand what's going to be better? Stop looking at your life as this is it. There's more to it. There are more borders. There's more finances. There's more fun. There's more travel. There's more because you don't know that God's got people around you that may not have ever called your name that are thinking of ways to be a blessing to you. You have no idea about that. And the reason you have no idea about that is because you are still living a religious life. You're for no more. Your borders, your life, your retirement, your friends, your sickness, all these things you're living within this level, and you're afraid to break the level because you don't want to feel like somebody got over on you, or you want the sickness, you want the poverty, you want the procrastination, you want the fear, and you want to be afraid of loss. You want that. You need that. Because there's some of you that need it because if nobody's feeling sorry for you, then you don't feel like you're doing anything. If you don't want to sit there and go, he's just getting over. Listen, folks don't want to get over on you. People don't care. Oh my God, please hear me. They don't care. Take into consideration the spectrum of your life. Take into consideration all the things that are in your life. I think it's Matthew 6 and 21. I'm going to see. We're going to see. I think it's Matthew 6 and 21. I need you to know who you are. I need you to know that God has you. I need you to know that God's there for you. I need you to understand that. I need you to understand. I need you to understand that God has you. And he will take care of you. If you don't understand that, then you're putting yourself in a position where you're not. I think it's 6. I'm about to look and see, guys. Give me a minute. I think it's that. It's 6. Yeah, I was right. 6 and yeah. Write this passage down. Matthew 6 and 25. Write it down. Matthew 6 and 25. And I'll read it. It says, take no thought for you. Yeah, 6. It says, take no thought. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought of your life, what you shall eat or what you should drink, nor yet what is on your body and what you should put on. Is not your life more than meat and body and than remnant? Behold, the fowls of the air, they sow, neither do they reap, nor do they gather into the barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more than they? Which of you taking thought can add 1 cubit to your stature? And why take thought for remnant? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet the Solomon in all of his glory is, or no one is not arrayed better than they. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which is in the day, and tomorrow will throw and cast into, and shall be moved into. Wherefore, if God clothe the grass of the field, which is today here and tomorrow cast into the oven, shall he much more not clothe ye of little faith? He has so much for you. I can't promise you enough. I can't beg enough. I can't plead enough that he has so much for you. I can simply keep telling you. And the more I tell you, the more you should believe it. The more you believe it, the more God will change your life. Now, if you are a part of our organization, if you're on YouTube, you go down to YouTube, there's a link down there, there's an email address. And that email address will get you to the masterclass. The masterclass starts in September. It is a 12-week class. Now, I'm not going to get into it anymore because on YouTube, I'm going to do this. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to leave YouTube and I'm going to TikTok and Instagram. So if you are concerned about those two things, I need you. That's what I'm going to talk about. But let me finish this out. He's got you. You don't have to be afraid. He's got you. I know people seem to get over you in the past, but some of those people are dealing with stuff that you know not of. I need you to start calling on the name of the thing you want in your life. I want you to call it and start moving quickly. See, the challenge that happens is, scientifically speaking, if you say something and don't address it within 3 seconds, it changes the molecular structure of that thing. Right now, I say, go be a part of the master class. Right now, your mind is says, go eat different. No, go. All those things, whatever it says, go do it. Wow. When you do it, you give it power. If you don't do it, you give power to something else. All right? Let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for what you taught us. I thank you so much for what you've given us and how you've shown us the greatness of who you are. We are not lacking. We're not sick. We don't have loss. We don't have fear. God, and we know who we are in you. Build us, strengthen us, teach us more. And I thank you for it. And I give you honor because each of the people that came and pressed their way out to hear what we said today, bless them specially because they're kings, priests, and prophets. And that's who you've called into this hour and you've called into this place. We thank you for it and we bless you for it. And it's done according to what has happened in heaven and what you did through your son. Amen. I love you guys. Make sure today is the last day for you to get your stuff done for the master